y
periodo
que asuma su
El presidente de
responsabilidad.
la
la
Lo
Comisión
que
de
crisis
pasa es que
Vigilancia,
es
José
chueco.
Guadalupe Torres Sánchez, y el
neoliberalismo
vocal de la
como
Comisión, Óscar
y que
Bautista,
fuera su secretario
ofrecen a
de
los
Es como el
alcaldes borrar las
que
observaciones
le
que
arrebata
señalan
la
la
bolsa.
Auditoría Superior del Estado.
La
Fiscalía de Veracruz documentó entre abril y octubre de 2013 la desaparición forzada de 15 personas, entre ellas 2 mujeres y 2.
El tema de la corrupción lamentablemente es un cáncer social que no es exclusivo de México, lo es yo creo que de todas las naciones.
Good afternoon, my name is Isaac Luna, and today we're going to talk about corruption and anti-corruption, what is corruption, and some spicy things. Today we have a very special guest. Their names are Sebastián Martinez and Oscar Montaño. Awesome, so I hope you are comfortable and ready to learn. Hi Sebastián, I'm with you. Tell us, what do you have for us today?
First of all, we need to know what is corruption. It has a lot of definitions and connotations, but all of them have one thing in common. Corruption is the abuse of power for improper gain or self-benefit. We're going to explain how it works and give it an example, and at the same time we explain it so we can to make it simple. We're going to talk about COVID-19 and corruption in Latin American countries. This first country on the list is Mexico. An investigation from the organization Mexicanos contra la Corrupción, Mexican Institute of Social Security IMSS awarded a contract of more than 10 million pesos, almost $950,000 for the purchase of ventilators from the company whose heading is construction, gardening, and hydraulic work. A few weeks earlier, Leon Paralet, son of the head of the Federal Electric Commission, was denounced by the Mexican organization as selling expensive ventilators to federal government. So how does this affect our social, economic, and political ways? Well, in social sense, Mexico is still in a pandemic, so people are still prone to get infected by COVID-19. Doing this will affect all the people working in hospitals by not getting infected, and the sick people, well, will be worse for them. In Ecuador, an Ecuadorian businessman was sentenced to 13 years in prison because he sold body bags with surcharges of 1.3 thousand during the pandemic. This affects the economic sense because it attacks the market. In this case, all the products during the pandemic were inflated in prices, but because of this businessman, the prices were inflated a lot more, and the hospital couldn't get for the dead people, and the medic people could got infected by this. And how does this affect our rights? Well, all of us deserve a peaceful death, am I right? Due to this businessman, a lot of people were unable to get a decent death. And we are not just talking about the many people. They got infected as well, and now they don't have a good place or material to work.
Thank you so much, Sebastián. Now we're going to move with you, Oscar. Tell us, what do you have for us?
So we cannot just approach it from a single perspective. We must approach the perspective where we can understand it. We can know how it works, how it's determined in different countries. And we must also approach the perspective of solving the problem, how we can come up with solutions, how citizens can act, can have powerful decisions when it comes to these public officials in these committees like Transparencia Mexicana. So when we put these together is when we can truly find the balance, and we can truly find a solution where the better good for economy and the better good for humanity come together, and well, that would be beautiful. And now here's an important question. Can corruption be approached from just a single disciplinary perspective? Well, not really. It's like trying to put water and oil together. Well, one condensates faster than the other. One gets set on the top of the glass, the other gets set on the bottom, but you can never have them mixed at the same time. It happens the same thing with corruption. While some people seek to eradicate it, some people just live off corruption. And this is why there's such a big gap in inequality here in Mexico. A lot of people, a lot of cities here in Mexico, a lot of states have rich houses, rich buildings, and right next to them there's like a favela, there's like Infonavit houses. There's nothing wrong with them. This just indicates that the money that moves around these areas is completely different. There's a very big contrast. So how can we fight corruption back? Well, it's not that simple. So first of all, we need to understand it. We need to better understand how corruption works. We need to understand the social sense, the economical ways, the political ways in which corruption affects an entire country, so that we can better understand it and understand the human behavior that goes around it. With that said, we'll move on. New laws, new reforms, new barriers have been set up in order to fight corruption back, through laws, through reforms, through committees, through organizations. A lot of people are trying to fight corruption because it's not that easy to eradicate. We know for a fact that corruption is more common in developing countries than in rich countries. But this does not necessarily mean that there is no absolutely zero corruption in rich countries. It's just controlled in a different way.
Do you know why anti-corruption helps democracy? No, so let me explain it really quickly. Starting with, what is democracy? Democracy is a regimen in which no one can take power and start against the will to the majority, and thus have a way of making decisions among members of a community and through it regulated coexistence. With that said, we can conclude that democracy helps ensure the term anti-corruption is valid. As a result, anti-corruption is restricted by democracy, since it is a structure where everyone has an opinion and seek the best solution for everything. A better but not totally definite answer will result from that in order to get out of the great corruption. Corruption, it doesn't allow the citizens getting good services. Also, it happened an electoral fraud because of corruption. So, anti-corruption reforms can help to prevent this type of cases, and citizens can get the leaders they want. Do we know what is it and how to understand it? We now have a better understanding of it and also realize each of us have what it takes in order to fight it. Whether you report a corrupt crime to the police or uncover an entire quote-unquote offshore bank account that recovers millions of dollars, you must give it a try. For your own good, your family's own health, and the world's commonwealth. Why can't corruption and anti-corruption be for your own good, your family's own health, and the world's commonwealth? Why can't corruption and anti-corruption be approached from a single disciplinary perspective? And why anti-corruption helps democracy? So let me ask you a question. Did you do something to combat corruption? Corruption starts within all of us. Being corrupt doesn't matter if you stole $1 billion and you give a bribe to the police because you don't want to pay the fine. We are the reason corruption is still a problem. We are not helping. We are not only spectators in this. We need to act in helping this. So let me ask you this question again. Are you doing something to combat corruption? Or are you only a mere spectator? Wow guys, that's really interesting information, and I hope you learned something about corruption. But I'm so sorry to get to the end of this video. But don't miss the next one. See you in the next video. Bye.
Con el auspicio de Condisa Signature somos libres de elegir. Y con toda la magia del sur.